Good afternoon, church. The story of Noah's Ark is well known. While it doesn't explain how life or how the earth began, it is important in young earth creationism, or YEC, a theory where believers see the flood as a real event that changed the earth and how it affected life. However, the concept of creation is not limited to this view. Different theories, from old earth creationism to intelligent design, offer alternative interpretations to how life began and how the earth came into existence. My presentation today explores these 6 creation theories, as well as the biblical account of Noah's Ark and the arguments presented by Ken Ham, a prominent figure in the YEC movement, regarding the feasibility and meaning of the Ark. First, let's explore the 6 major religious perspectives on creation. Number 1, young earth creationism. According to young earth creationism, the earth and universe are between 6,000 and 10,000 years old, created by God in 6 24-hour days, and a global flood, as described in the biblical account of Noah, which was a real historical event that shaped much of the earth's geological features. Number 2, old earth creationism. Old earth creationism teaches us that the earth is billions of years old, and God created life in stages over long periods. Supporters see the days in Genesis as long eras rather than simple 24-hour days. Number 3, theistic evolution. God created the universe and life, but used the process of evolution to develop life forms over millions of years. This view accepts the scientific theory of evolution and an ancient earth, but maintains that God is the ultimate creator. Number 4, progressive creationism. God created life in distinct acts over long periods, intervening at various stages in Earth's history. This view allows for both an old Earth and evolutionary principles, but maintains that certain life forms, especially humans, were created directly by God at specific points in time. Number 5 is gap creationism. So there is a believed gap of time between Genesis 1 verse 1 and Genesis 1 verse 2. Supporters of this view argue that an earlier creation existed before Genesis 1 verse 2, but was destroyed in a catastrophe, sometimes linked to Satan's fall. They believe that after this destruction, God recreated the world in 6 literal days. Number 6 is intelligent design. Intelligent design isn't tied to a specific creation timeline, but its supporters argue that its features, like the fine-tuned universe and complex biological systems, point to an intelligent designer. Before further examining YEC and Noah's Ark, here is the scientific view. The universe began 13.8 billion years ago with the Big Bang, and the Earth formed 4.5 billion years ago through natural processes, without invoking supernatural causes. The story of Noah's Ark and young Earth creationism. For proponents of YEC, the story of Noah's Ark is not merely a symbolic or allegorical tale, but a literal account of a global flood that reshaped the earth. YEC believers argued that the flood was not local, but global, affecting the entire planet and causing the rapid burial of plants and animals, which is what we now find in the fossil record. The dimensions of Noah's Ark, as described in Genesis 6:15, are a key point of discussion among YEC proponents. The ark is said to have been 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high, with 3 decks and a window. These measurements describe a massive vessel capable of holding many animals. For YEC supporters, this physical description serves as evidence that the ark could have housed representatives of all animals that were preserved during the flood. Ken Ham's argument and the concept of kinds. Ken Ham, a leading figure in the YEC movement, presents a specific argument for the feasibility of Noah's Ark. A central component of Ham's argument is the concept of kinds as described in the Bible, particularly in Genesis 1, verse 24 to 25. Ham argues that the term kind refers to broader categories of animals, not modern species. This interpretation means that Noah did not need to take representatives from every species of animal, but rather from each kind. Ham estimates that only about 1,000 to 2,000 kinds of animals would have been needed on the ark, a much smaller number than the millions of species alive today. After the flood, Ham suggests that animals could have rapidly diversified into the various species we see today, a process known as microevolution, which aligns with the YEC thinking but avoids the need for Darwinian evolution. To illustrate his point, Ham provided many examples, such as the dog kind. Instead of needing wolves, foxes, or any other dog species, Noah would have only needed 2 dogs or a pair of a dog kind, from which all the dog species we see today would have descended. Similarly, only 2 elephants, 1 male and 1 female, would have been required aboard the ark to account for all the modern elephants and their extinct relatives, such as the mammoth or mastodon. Another example that Ham used was the cat kind. Instead of needing lions, tigers, leopards, domestic cats, and any other feline species, Noah would have only needed 1 pair from the cat kind. Ken Ham's interpretation of the Noah's Ark story aligns with the broader YEC perspective, emphasizing that the Ark and the flood narrative are literal historical events. By grouping animals into kinds and focusing on post-flood adaptation, Ham argues that the story remains biologically feasible while staying true to the biblical text. Dear Church, the story of Noah's Ark reveals to us today both God's judgment and his mercy. Just as he saved Noah through the ark, God offers salvation to those who obey his word, a powerful reminder of his justice and grace. Though science presents different views on Earth's history, many still find deep meaning in the biblical account of creation. Jesus himself referenced Noah's Ark in Matthew 24, verse 37, affirming that the story is very real and relevant to us today. The ark and the rainbow remind us that God keeps his promises, inviting us to trust him with full faith and obedience. Thank you.